What's up, party people, and welcome to an all-new episode of Just Three with Joe, presented to you by the 19 Media Group. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Joe Cardoza. Man, sports has been jam-packed. We had a wild card weekend. We saw a bunch of NFL playoff games, some better than others. The NBA is rolling towards the NBA All-Star break. College basketball is in full swing. This is a golden time if you're a sports fan, because every single night there's something fantastic to watch. We can talk about. We can write about it. If you're a content creator, if you're a sports fan, this is the time of year for you. March Madness probably comes close to being as exciting as it is right now. On this week's show, I am joined by the owner and operator of Strike 7 Sports, Mr. Derrick Branch. Derrick and I will talk about how he started Strike 7 Sports, some of the things that have happened since he began his brand, and just talk about his journey. Of course, we're going to talk about the NFL playoffs and preview the upcoming games, and we'll talk about the NBA as well. Let's not even waste any time. Let's jump right into the conversation with Derrick. So at this time, I want to welcome to Just Three with Joe, Mr. Derrick Branch.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, brother? Doing good, man. Doing good. Long time coming to get you on here.
Oh, yeah, man. We've been chatting it up for a week, man. We've been chatting this up for a minute how to get this done, get this going, man.
Hey, we're both busy people, so I understand. Ain't no hard feelings, man.
Oh, yeah. Ain't nothing, brother.
Hey, well, let's hop right into it, man. I know that both of us are big-time football fans. Of course, we had Wild Card Weekend last weekend, or as the NFL called it, Super Wild Card Weekend. Now we move on to the divisional round. I guess my first question, before I ask you for some predictions and stuff, which game in the divisional round catches your attention? Like, which game are you most looking forward to watching?
Well, I want to see Green Bay and San Francisco. Okay. San Francisco has Aaron Rodgers' number when it comes to the playoffs, dating back to when Kaepernick was a starter.
Yeah,
they pretty much held him in check when it comes to the playoffs for the most part. So I'm looking forward to that game.
Now, I think you're probably with me, man. Are you a believer in Jimmy G? You think he can get it done?
Yeah, he's big time in the big games, man. Even though he makes some head scratching decisions, he's pretty much big time in these games, these important games. You know, Kyle Shanahan seems to have his have his attention on what he needs to do to get those teams for San Francisco. So I think he can pull it off.
I know a lot of people were saying that Green Bay, the offense, I get it. Aaron Rodgers, a two-headed monster at running back. Of course, Devontae Adams, who some people think is the best receiver in the league. But I tend to think that the 49ers offense is built for that cold weather. When you got Deebo Samuel, the way he runs, they just throw a running back in there. It's classic Shanahan. Just throw a running back, any running back there, block, one cut, hit it. They're built for the cold, I think. So I think the way their offense is built should keep San Francisco in this game. My question about the 49ers is, can that defense slow down the Green Bay Packers offense is my question.
Yeah, to me, from watching the Dallas game and some other games in the past with San Francisco, is that you can attack that secondary from what I see. The D-line is just legit, dangerous. Linebackers are pretty good, but you can pretty much hurt their secondary if you have a good quarterback. But that's the matchup we gotta look out for in that game. But they got Green Bay has Devontae Adams, man. One of the best in the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I know the front four for San Francisco, Bosa coming back from the concussion. I knew, even though he got a concussion, I knew there was no way he was going to miss this next game. So if they can get pressure on Aaron Rodgers while having to force the blitz, just let the front four do the work, I think that would help that secondary out a lot, like you said.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, like any other, great quarterback, once you get that pressure up front from coming from the edge or from the middle, you can pretty much disrupt him. And with Aaron Rodgers, I've seen it done in the past.
Yeah, now the other matchup, let's stick with the NFC. You got Matthew Stafford, fresh off his first playoff victory in forever, or ever really, going up against the great one, Tom Brady, the Buccaneers. This is a game that, I don't know. I mean, I know Tampa Bay lost a lot. You talk about Godwin's no longer on the team. Leonard Fournette didn't play last week. Is Mike Evans 100% healthy? No Antonio Brown, which is a different show altogether. But you still got some young guys that are stepping up. And we saw what the Rams did. It just totally took the Cardinals behind the woodshed. What's your feeling on this game right here? You look at the Rams taking on the Bucs.
Well, you know what? I think the Rams are getting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the right time. Tampa Bay's O-line is banged up. You got no Antonio Brown. Chris Godwin is out. I'm assuming Leonard Fournette is going to be back, but who knows how he's going to look.
Yeah.
O-line is pretty much been banged up. Like I said, their secondary could be wish-washy, could be up and down. This could be I think it's right for the taking for the Los Angeles Rams if they want to make a statement. To me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they made a big statement on Monday night with the way they took care of Arizona. I think that a lot of people had the Rams as a favorite to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year just because of the acquisition of Matthew Stafford. Now you add in the miraculous return of Cam Akers. You add in OBJ. Yeah, I think this might be it for Tom Brady and those guys. If Tom Brady can pull off this one, I know I always tell myself never bet against Tom Brady. But
don't do that.
It really seems that the odds are stacked up against Tom in this game. If he can win this one with the cast he got here, I think it might be smooth sailing for Tampa Bay to go back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's very possible, man. This is going to be one of those New England type games where he has devoid of talent around him, and he just got to make it happen. You know, he just got he has Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette, and he got Gronk, but you know Gronk is not that type of player anymore. He's still dangerous, but it ain't the Gronk we've known in the past. So it's going to be all on Brady in this game. All on him.
Now, before we go to the AFC, what's your pick? So let's start with Green Bay hosting San Francisco. Who do you got winning? Because I have Green Bay.
I'm going with Green Bay, man. This is it's due for Aaron Rodgers to get to the Super Bowl. Green Bay has had multiple 13-win seasons, home field advantage, MVP Aaron Rodgers. You got everything you need to get to the Super Bowl. So I think it's due, man.
Yeah, it's haven't gotten over the hump. And then I'm assuming that you're going to go with the Rams over the Buccaneers?
Yep, I'm going the Rams over the Buccaneers, man.
I can't go against Tom, man. Until I see all zeros, I'm going to go Tampa Bay in a close one over the Rams. Now, talk about the AFC. We got a matchup. I saw something on Twitter the other day I thought was pretty cool. I saw a video of it and a picture of Stephon Diggs standing on the field watching the Chiefs celebrate as they won the AFC Championship game, and now they get a chance for revenge as they play against the Kansas City Chiefs. I guess, but before I even ask you what your pick is, did you see enough last week from Kansas City against Pittsburgh to say, hey, the Chiefs are back? Or do you just think Pittsburgh is just that bad? They made KC look better than they really are.
Man, that's a good question because I know in the game they blowed out Pittsburgh and they had some blowouts, you know, to close out the season. But when he played Cincinnati, Cincinnati give them some work. And the Bills could do the same thing. Josh Allen got wheels, Burrow got wheels, but Josh Allen is just a mutant. You know what I'm saying? And man, it's a hard game to predict, man. I know Buffalo beat him early in the year, and that's when Kansas City went on that slide. They got together, but I don't know, man. It's a hard game to pick.
Yeah, I think that what I saw from Buffalo last week against New England was amazing. I never saw anybody take a Bill Belichick team and do what they did, especially in the playoffs. Like you talked about, Josh Allen through the air with his legs, the offense they got, Knox, the tight end, having 2 touchdowns. It's a tough one. And you have the revenge factor on your mind. I mean, you know that you were that close to being to the Super Bowl, and this is the team that knocked you out and sent you home packing. So Buffalo has all the momentum they need to take this game. But I think, like you talked about, I think Kansas City kind of got things right at the right time. Although the big question I have for KC is, I know they've been talking about Tyreek Hill and possibly having that heel injury. How serious is it? I don't know. I know the cliche everybody says is it's the playoffs. At this time, everybody's banged up. That's true, and it's not true. So, I mean, like you talked about, this is a tough one. I think we should talk about Tennessee and Cincinnati first. We can come back to our picks for that game. Get some time to think about it. What do you think about this? Are the Bengals going to get it done?
Well, you know what, man? I think this is the end of the road for the Bengals, man. Unfortunately, I think Tennessee with that running game is the formula to keep Joe Burrow off the field. When him and Jamar Chase get them guys off the field much as possible and just smother them with Derrick Henry. Their defense is pretty good with Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons. It's a really good defense, man, and I think this is it for them.
Well, you talked about when we were talking about the Tampa Bay game, you said we weren't sure what kind of version of Leonard Fournette we were going to get coming off the injury. What about Derrick Henry? I mean, we haven't seen this guy for weeks. I know he is the best running back in the league, and I mean he is definitely the straw, the cup, the ice, everything when it comes to the Titans' drink. What are we expecting from Derrick Henry, or do you think Tennessee is good enough that let's say Derrick Henry's at 75%? Is that good enough still to beat Cincinnati?
Yes, I think it is. I think it's good enough. It's enough to beat Cincinnati. And then I think you have the Bengals finally have, not one of the Bengals, but the Titans have finally have Julio Jones healthy now. They got A.J. Brown out there as well. I think that's enough to put away Cincinnati and keep that offense off the field.
Yeah, because I tell you what, from what I've seen this season from Tennessee, if that defense has to be on the field for a long period of time, they're not good enough to slow down a Cincinnati Bengal offense like at all. No offense.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's what I've seen too.
And how impressed were you with that first game from Joe Burrow and the Bengals? I mean, it's a young team. I heard somebody at my job the other day, bold statement to say it, but he said that Cincinnati gave him a little bit of a vibes of a young triplets. Think about Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. You think about Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the other wide receivers they have there. How impressed with Cincinnati were you?
I was very impressed, man, because at the beginning of the season, I thought Cincinnati was in the playoff team. I thought they would have, been a difficult matchup for anybody, but they weren't going to get to the playoffs. I was impressed with that game against Oakland last week, Las Vegas last week. And the scary thing about the Bengals is that you're not really paying those guys yet, except outside of Joe Mixon. All those guys on rookie deals.
I didn't even think about that. So they're just getting started, basically.
Yeah, so it can be a really good football team. I was impressed with the way they played against Las Vegas. Defense pretty much did a good job against Derek Carr. It's going to be an interesting challenge for them.
Yeah, I was impressed that Vegas even made the playoffs. Talk about all the stuff that they went through this season to even make it that far as they did was super impressive for me. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you too, obviously the regular season's over, we're in the playoffs, but looking back a little bit at the regular season, for me, the answer to this question will be probably Baltimore. But for you, what would be your most disappointing team this season? A team that you had high expectations for them at the beginning of the year, and whatever it be, injuries, whatever, they just didn't make them for you. What's your most disappointing team this season?
We'll go with the Seattle Seahawks, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. The Seattle Seahawks finally came crashing down, man. With the defense just ain't what it used to be, man. Running game has never pretty much been the same since Marshawn Lynch left, and Russell Wilson he couldn't overcome it this year. And I thought they would have been a playoff team because they won the division last year, and I thought they would have made, qualified as a wild card team, but they didn't make it, man. So I would go with the Seahawks.
I didn't really have high expectations of them. I just feel like Russell Wilson's been running for his life because the offensive line is so bad for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and for whatever reason, they just don't do it. They haven't done anything to improve the O-line.
Yeah, because I was like, I've been used to seeing him doing it for so many years. I was like, okay, he got it, man. They'll get it together. He'll get in the playoffs, but they got him this year. It came crashing down, man. The NFC West is hard.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I said the team that to shocked me and impressed me the most was Arizona. I didn't see even though they ended it horribly, I didn't see the Cardinals doing what they did at all. I didn't see Kyler Murray balling out like that. I mean, this is a guy that early on in the season was in the MVP conversation. I didn't see Arizona doing what they did at all this season. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, me too. And out of that division, I thought they would be the weakest link, and not Seattle, but it flip flopped and. Arizona was like the number 1 seed at one point of the season, and it just fell apart. Still made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that the hot start they had would save them and allowed them to get into the playoffs. So I'd say that's probably my most impressive team. Now we talked about it a little bit. Let's go ahead and make our picks on the game we said was tough. Buffalo and KC. I'm gonna go with Buffalo. What I saw last week against New England, and like I said, when you add that revenge factor in there, those guys have something to prove because there's still a lot of people out there that like, Bills Mafia, they jump through tables, blah, blah, blah. They can't win the big one. I think Buffalo gets it done.
I'm going to go with Kansas City, man. I think Patrick Mahomes and company's going to avenge that loss that went down early in the season. Win that game. and get back to the AFC Championship game and host it at well, they got to go to Nashville if they beat if the Tennessee beat Cincinnati. So I think they're gonna get things right.
Man, what a big night for Nashville. As if there's not enough big events to happen down there to be able to host the AFC Championship game. That probably hasn't happened in forever. I want to say that was a wild card game way back in the day when you had the Music City Miracle where
it was a wild card game.
Okay.
Yeah,
they've never hosted an AFC Championship game, I don't think at all.
Never.
Interesting.
Never. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Well, hey, a fun part of the show, or at least should be fun for you. Let's talk a little bit about you. Like I said, you're the owner and operator of Strike 7 Sports. I got a couple of questions about that. I guess my first question is, what made you decide, hey, I'm going to start my own independent sports media company and cover sports your way? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, man, it was back in like 2013. I was looking to get into some type of, side business, some kind of side hustle, things. At the time, I started to learn about WordPress. I was on Facebook and all that, but I didn't know the power of it at the time. Of how you can promote businesses and how the bigger companies are doing it now. I didn't really understand it, but as I learned, more research I did, courses I did, and I was kind of thinking like, what could I get started in? What type of niche, field, genre could I be involved in? So I thought about it. I said, man, I could do sports, man. I'll go, do football. And first start off as a gridiron fanatic. I had a football only website. Then I tried to expand. I changed to Sports Talk 365, but kind of felt like that name was kind of generic, because a lot of brands use that Sports Talk 754 Sports Talk Atlanta. So man, we're gonna change it to Strike 7, man. We're gonna Strike 7 Sports. That's where we at right now.
So what's the meaning behind the name? What made you come up with Strike Force?
Strike 7? Oh man, because I would say it's mostly like a football heavy site. And I'll just say, touchdown passes,
gotcha.
Throwing deep. It's like Strike 7.
No, I like it. And the logo is sick.
Yeah.
So now that you're on this path of being an independent sports media outlet, like can you describe what's the journey been like a little bit? I mean, obviously I know you're learning a lot, but I mean, as far as like content you're coming out with, people that you've met, any moments where you I know a lot of people, it's happened to me a couple times. Any of those like, man, I'm really doing this kind of moments where you met somebody and after the conversation you were like, well, damn, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah, man, it was quite a few, man.
Awesome.
I got to cover my first event in 2018 at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. We're based out of here, so we do a lot of Memphis events, and that was pretty real to me when I was in the same room with Mike Gundy, the mullet. Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I did
I'm
press
a man,
conference.
I'm 40.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, this guy really in the room with this guy. And he's that type of person, man. And I got to interview Drew Lock, got to ask him a question when he was at Missouri.
Okay.
Covered Memphis basketball 2019. I've been in press conferences with James Wiseman, all those guys, Penny Hardaway. It's a bunch of stuff with I've covered Southern Heritage Classic, the HBCU game out here. It's been pretty quite the journey, man. Learning a whole lot. I would say the past 2 years I learned a lot about this sports and journalism in particular. Learned a whole lot about SEO, everything that makes independent brand successful.
Yeah, nah, for sure. I'm right there with you, especially the SEO part. It was like, what? It's like a foreign language to me.
Yeah, that stuff it could be sickening sometimes. It's just like, yo, Google with these updates, man. Just like, man, but you gotta keep moving, man. And sometimes it could be tough, when you have a job, family, things like that. But you gotta keep going. Make a schedule of when you want to put out content. That's what I do.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that work-life balance. How do you? So that's your secret. The way you keep your stuff organized is by having a schedule. What's your secret to making a good work-life balance? Because it's tough.
Yeah, well, what I do is I usually like on a Monday. I put out a story Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Either like 3 to 5 stories. I like to have 3 to 5 stories a week
Okay.
throughout the site. And then Saturday, if I'm really feeling it, I really put a story out on Saturday. The other guys, my other freelancers, they'll contribute as well. Tuesday we do podcasts. On Tuesday, the guys, they engaged me before the season started. Hey man, let's start a podcast on Tuesday. We just talk about the NFL, the takeaways and all that. But then we expanded to other sports. So there you have it. We got Strike 7 Sports Podcast on Tuesday on IG. But we do 3 to 5 stories a week on the site.
Now, of course, like everything else, COVID hit, and that kind of changed the game for everybody as far as like covering sports live. But I think if you can say there's one small good thing about COVID, if you want to call it a good thing, is for independent media outlets like 19 Media Group or Nuts and Bolts Sports or Strike 7 Sports, the virtual thing, I think, leveled the playing field. You were able to say, hey, I want to cover this. And now it wasn't you flying out somewhere or driving somewhere. It was you sitting in your living room in front of your computer and being able to ask questions or even just attend the press conferences to kind of get stuff. Did that's something you took advantage of as far as like the virtual aspect? Is that something that you kind of stayed away from? How did you, I guess my question is, how did you adjust when COVID hit to still be pumping out articles, still be putting out content?
Well, the virtual stuff, I've tried to reach out and do some virtual meetings, but I never got like approved for any. But I just kept it moving. As far as COVID, it kind of I didn't like. It was kind of frustrating to not get accepted to come to cover events because of the whole we got I would say not space, but yeah, space. Regulations now, and we can't let this much media come in and. The team's not emailing me back, and we can't do this for you. I just kept it moving, kept my head down, and just pretty much, man. With the good thing about it is that people want to join me then, wanted to reach out and join from there.
It's a good thing.
And another thing, what you're starting to see is, I don't know if you notice is that a lot of people want to go independent now. I'm talking about like blue check guys now are starting to branch out and start their own media now. The stuff that that was frowned upon back in the day is now being looked at as cool now. Where everybody want to go independent. You even got the athletes. They're starting to branch out.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that now because of technology, I mean, look at us. Here we are doing this interview. It's two separate houses. I'm in Maryland. You're where you are at. And it's not a big deal. So now it's so easy. People are so accessible. Whether you if you got a cell phone or a computer with a camera on it, and you can figure out a couple of things when it comes to there's so many different kinds of software you can use. It definitely is a lot easier now to say, hey, I got blah, blah, blah sports company and we're starting live and we're going now. And then just trying to find like-minded individuals to kind of join you or just do it on your own. Like I think what LeBron is doing with the undefeated, or not the undefeated, I'm sorry, undisputed. Uninterrupted. Excuse me. I'm jacking it all up. You think about what he's doing and that brand. You think about what's going on with Fred Taylor, Chad Ochocinco, Brandon Marshall. I mean, everybody's. Right. You're right. It feels almost like everybody's doing it. You just gotta find. You just gotta find out what makes you unique and find your steak, so people want to tune into your stuff. Because there's definitely enough fans are out there that don't eat the content up, but the content's got to be good. It just can't be anything thrown out there.
Right. Yeah, man. It's, what I've learned also. Everybody, there's room for everybody to eat. You know what I'm saying? There's no need to put somebody aside or tell them what they cannot do. It's just as long as you find an audience, man, and you show consistency, people gonna subscribe to you.
Yeah, and a good point you brought up too that I like what you mentioned, which talked about applying for stuff and maybe not getting approved, but not being discouraged, just going on to the next one and keeping your goals in mind. That's going to happen whenever you're trying to do something if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So whenever you get those bumps in the road, you might spend a few minutes like, damn, what happened? What did I do wrong? But after that, hey, what's next? What's next? What's next? You can't stay in that negative mindset. You'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, you're right, man. Just gotta keep moving, man. Just keep moving. Just keep figuring out ways to put out content. Just stay online,
Yeah, for sure. What are some of without giving away all your secrets? What are some of the goals you have for your brand in 2022? Like this year, I have to do X.
Well, man, I would like to get back to covering live events, man.
Of course.
You know,
Yeah.
because it just we learned so much over the past 2 years that got rid of that, better at engaging people, asking questions. Also, want like to grow the traffic on the site. Bring in more followers, bring in more subscribers. Maybe just continue to network with people.
Yeah, nah, for
And our
sure.
podcast as well, man. Grow our podcast to get it to where it needs to be in the
And
future.
we'll make sure we drop a link to the podcast in the description on the show too, for sure. Give you
Okay.
some support there for real, for sure, for sure. Now, I always ask everybody this. I don't even know. I don't even have an answer for myself. I have to really think about it. But and I hope you don't say Mike Gundy. If you do, hey, whatever. But what's been the coolest moment so far since you started your brand? Whether it be somebody emailing you saying, "Hey, I checked out your stuff. I like it." It might be a parent saying, "I read an article. I like that." What's been the moment where you were like, "Okay, yeah, I really not only do I like this, but I'm gonna keep on doing it." It's like the best moment so far since you started your brand.
It's true, man. The best moment started my grandma approved the cover the Liberty Bowl, man. That was my first ever event, man. I've had other, contacts within the industry told me that it was, proud of me because my first event was a bowl game. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
for
saying?
sure. Yeah,
And I felt like when I had that credential in my hand, like, man, this is real. And this is what being having an opportunity to watch, two Power 5 schools play each other. To watch Drew Lock. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
like this guy NFL quarter. I met that guy before.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of shortchange the credential thing and like, oh, anybody can get a credential. And I mean, I
No, I
understand.
can't.
What I always hear is anybody can get a credential. It's all about what you do with it after you get it. I understand that a little bit.
Yeah,
But when you independent, just to get it,
yo,
and
it's
you're first
yeah,
starting out, it's everything. Yeah, come on,
yeah.
man.
Hey, bro. If you independent, you get approved for something. It's all on you to get that, man. It's like everything
Yeah.
is on your tab. Your living expenses, your plane ticket, all that stuff to get there, parking. Ain't nobody paying for
Nope.
you,
There's
man.
there's no stipend being given out. There's no
Yeah,
Strike 7 credit card for the gas.
yeah, yeah. Ain't nobody paying for your meals, man.
Yeah, no, that's
Oh,
major. I got
yeah,
to
but
hey,
that's
I got a shoebox where I keep my credentials. Still, whenever I get
me too.
approved, I put it in the shoebox. Keep it, man. Mementos for sure because it
Oh
matters.
yeah, also, man, I covered the AAF, the football league that got
Okay, yeah,
disbanded.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was out there for the Memphis Express, so that was cool. I met Mike Singletary. That was nice, man.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
ain't you picked the Liberty Bowl over meeting Mike Singletary? Man, I would have picked Singletary off the top. That's awesome. That's Hall of Famer, one of
Oh
the
yeah,
best to
yeah.
ever
And I
do it.
also I was in the same press conference with Steve Spurrier. That was cool.
Oh, okay, old ball. As a Washington fan, I don't know. We got some bad memories of the old ball coach.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He
that's
made a
right.
lot of money. He made a lot of money, but he did us kind of dirty, man.
Yeah.
We paid him top of the line, but we didn't get what we thought we were going to get. We were looking for Super Bowl rings and NFC championships, and instead we ended up getting the. I think I've heard his time at Washington called a beach club type mentality until we had to get somebody else. We had to bring Joe Gibbs back, and when Joe Gibbs came back, he got us kind of back on the right track. But yeah, in Washington, Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, man. I forget
Well,
about that one all
man.
the
Cool,
time though.
man.
Yeah.
It's definitely awesome to hear somebody's story and their journey. And I wish you much success. And I think
Me
that
too.
nothing but, like you talked about, having people reach out to you and saying, hey, I want to join you in your efforts. That's all you needed to hear to know, hey, I'm doing the right thing. That's fuel right there.
Right. Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I was gonna elaborate on that story. Is that I was in a basketball game, a Memphis game, covering I was at a press conference. The guy just, we just chopped it up and said like, "Hey man, who are you with?" I was like, "I'm Sports Talk 365," and you looked at my Twitter profile and like, "Hey man, I'd like to write for you." You see me. You just kind of kept in contact, DM me through Twitter, and I just kept it going. And to today, we still in contact. Now we got the other guy. He's joined us, and we got a guy from New York who's with us as well.
There you go. That's how it
Right. So
starts, man. That's how you build it. Next thing you know, you're gonna be having staff meetings and stuff, man. That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's awesome to hear. And there's a lot. And the other thing too is with the independent outlets, it's a lot more freedom for the writers too. They're not boxed in. So I think a lot of
yeah,
writers too, especially young up and coming writers, they they live for that, to have the opportunity to kind of, you get your lumps and stuff, but there's not the can't say this, you got to do it that way. They can kind of learn their style and learn their voice, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit, man. Talk a little hoops, man. NBA. Of course, we're getting towards the mid part of the season. A lot is going on here. I mean, just some of the storylines I could think of is like no one saw the Cleveland Cavaliers doing what they're doing right now as being a really important team in the East. Of course, Chicago Bulls. I think a lot of people thought the Lakers were just going to throw their jersey on the court and win games. That hasn't happened at all. Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, it's been a lot of different storylines. When you take a look at the NBA, like I said, we're almost at the halfway point. What are some of the teams, players, things that have caught your attention so far?
I would say, man, I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors. I knew they would be good, but I didn't think they would be a top 5 team, a top 4 team in the West, man. I really didn't. I wasn't expecting this, man. That team, man, they're serious, man. I thought, they would take a little step back because, you got Phoenix. Phoenix came up. Who else came up? The Jazz. You got these other teams that are coming up while they were down. Thought they would have little struggles here and there, but they're back, man.
Yeah, but with the Utah Jazz, man, come on. We all know the Utah Jazz is a regular season team. Don't tell me you got faith in the Jazz. We know when the playoffs come, they're going to stumble. They always do.
No, I don't.
So what is it about Golden State you think that makes them so spectacular? Is it because of Steph Curry and the shooting? Is it because, like, I think with Golden State, what makes them so hard is when they come at you with that wave, it's like it's almost like it's over. It's overwhelming. It's 1-3, then it's 2 threes, then it's 3 threes, and then next thing you know, you're down double digits like that. What do you think it's about Golden State that just makes them so tough to beat?
Well, I agree with you on that. Is the wave, man. It's just that you have 2 or 3 guys that is capable of going off on you. If you have 15, 20, then the guy he shoots 20, Clay shoots 25, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
you're in trouble. It's a wave. They can score points, man.
Yeah, for sure. And what about the Lakers struggle? I mean, did you see this coming before the season started, or are you like some other people who are very, very surprised with the way the Lakers have come out the gate so far?
I would say somewhat surprised by it. Didn't think it would hit us that hard the way it's been going, but I was kind of like trying to like hold back on criticism, doubting them because the All-Star break, I felt like if it continues during the All-Star break, if it festers on, they may have some issues. But somewhat surprised by this.
So
but I know it's an old team.
What do you think it is? You think it's just because, I mean, there's a bunch of different, I've heard a bunch of different excuses. Which one do you think it is? I mean, I've heard the AD injury. I've heard the fact they've been so banged up and haven't been able to play together to get continuity. Of course, the easy one that everybody seems to use, it's Russell Westbrook's fault. Fire Frank Vogel. Like, do you think there's one certain thing that's led to this, or do you think it's a couple things that's led to them just not being what we thought they were going to be?
I think it's a couple things. For one, it's an older team with a collection of good talent on it, but they're old. And sometimes it can be hard for older players to come together and, sync. It takes time. Second, I think, is Anthony Davis, who hasn't been available for the majority of the year. You got to have him on the court with LeBron at the same time. And a third, I think, is the injuries, man. The injuries mounted up. LeBron is pretty good. In his first, for a good stretch, he's good. But then he can't, to me, he just can't. He's not that type of player that could just turn it on like that every day, every night. You know what I'm saying? Because I know they had a stretch where he was playing center and he was 5-0, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, now look where we're at now. It's back to, now we're talking about Frank Vogel.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a combination of those things. But it's Andy Davis, man, he needs to step up, man. That's
what about Russ? Let's talk a little bit about Russ, though. What about Russ? Like, I mean, I'm a fan of Russell Westbrook, but I also am a realist, and his playing style is never going to change. Like, I think Russ could play with Jordan and he'd still play the same. He's not going to play second fiddle to anybody. Just his style is his style. Nothing's really changed over the years. He's still going to make those plays that make you scratch your head. He still is not going to be very consistent with the jump shot, but you're going to get maximum effort every single night. He's a dog for sure, and he still has a lot of athleticism too. What do you think about Russell Westbrook so far with the Lakers?
Man, it's been I didn't think it would work in the beginning when they made a trade for him. Just, man, his playing style just ain't good for working with guys like LeBron and AD, man. He's not a shooter. He's a scorer, but he's not a shooter. He's not a consistent shooter. He doesn't he's not really good at getting other players involved in the game. He doesn't get other players to elevate their game. So that just is not a good move, man, to me. But it's not ultimately his fault. It's not all his fault, though.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And I mean, obviously, people that say you can't trade this contract haven't been watching basketball. We saw Houston trade them and Washington traded them. Do you think he ends the season with the Lakers, or we saw the benching last night? That could lead to that might lead to some rifts there in Lakerland. Is he going to end the season wearing purple and gold?
Well, man, I posted the question on my on our Strike Sevens Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. From the responses I was getting, a lot of people believe that he's not going to go anywhere during the trade deadline or after the season because his contract is so massive. But I'm thinking there's always a sucker, man. There's always a sucker always somebody that believes that they could sell some tickets and they could do something with Russell Westbrook as a number one option. So there's always somebody that could take that contract. Somebody will. If LeBron wants it, if they talk to LeBron about it, he bless off on it, it might happen. But for what I see is LeBron and Russ is cool. There was a question that was asked yesterday at that presser, and he kind of deflected about the benching.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say is, and people have been talking about it, we haven't got a chance to see them all play together. We haven't really seen it. Like, I want to see 10 games at least of LeBron, Russ, and AD, and let's see what's really good. And then figure out. But at the same time, we can't keep saying, oh, they're getting it together. Oh, they're going to get it together. Oh, they're going to get it together, because the time is going by fast. I mean, we're almost at All-Star break. That all we're going to get it together stuff ain't going to fly after a while. So they definitely need to figure it out.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think if you had,
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, my bad. I think if you have AD on the court with Russ and LeBron, I think you can mask some of those deficiencies Russ has if you got AD on the court with LeBron, but they haven't been on the court and end up played enough time together.
For sure. No, I'd agree with you on that for sure. So we talk about Memphis a little bit. They had that 11-game winning streak. John Morant playing out of his mind. It's not just him; it's the whole team. People talk about small market, blah blah blah. I think that should be put to rest after what we saw last year from the Milwaukee Bucks and Milwaukee coming back from the deficit they were in the finals to win the NBA championship. So what are your impressions on this Memphis Grizzly team?
Dude, I'm impressed with Memphis, man. I didn't think they would make it be that far in the seasons in regards to the Western Conference because of how tough the conference is.
Yeah.
I think to a certain extent, and then other people tell you this too, that's in the city, that they've overachieved, man, since Ja has been here. Because nobody was really expecting them to come up like this, man. They've grown every year that he's been here. So in regards to this year, I think they're the third seed in the West right now. I'm kind of watching it, kind of like in observer mode. I'm trying to see if they're gonna fall, fall in the seeds if they continue to keep this.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them finish like no lower than 6, I would say, because they're off to a strong start. And like you said, what's going to happen with the Lakers? We keep on saying that we're going to get together. We'll have to see if that really actually happens or not. Definitely impressed with Ja, but also impressed with his teammates. I mean, Bane's a great player. When they get Dylan Brooks healthy, he's a good player. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a really good player. They've had some bumps in the road as far as injuries go as well, but they really have a next man up mentality. And I mean, you live there. You probably answer the question better than me, but I feel like if there's a team that fits the mentality of the city they play in, it's Memphis.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. Ja is not scared, bro. Ja is not scared of the big moment. He's willing to take those shots. He's willing to go up against the the league's best. Not he doesn't act like he's entitled to anything. He's embraced Memphis, man. I'm happy for him. Happy for the city. Happy that he's a part of this team, man. But yeah, it's Memphis fits the team, the city.
Yeah, nah, for sure. They've definitely been super, super impressive. But nobody's talking about the Suns. I mean, the Suns just keep on plugging along, having one of the best records in the league. CP3 and Devin Booker just doing what they do, and no one's talking about them at all.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if they have to play Gold State in the playoffs and they beat Gold State and get to the finals again. They got the experience now. They know what it's like to be in the finals. Chris Paul's still there. Devin Booker's there. The rest of the sport cast. Crowder's there. So
Yeah, it should be interesting to see what Phoenix does the rest of the season. But they're just like no one's talking about them. Like they just go out there every night. All they do is winning basketball games, and I think they like it that way. They like being the underdog, not being talked about. There's pressure on them, but there's not pressure on them, if that makes sense. So I think that's just exactly where the Phoenix Suns want to be. And another team people aren't talking about a lot. They're still winning games, and they're missing one of their biggest pieces. That's Denver Nuggets, obviously still missing Jamal Murray. But the Joker last night, man, triple-double, getting it done. Man, it's been really, really impressed with Denver. See what they can do. They lost Michael Porter Jr. That's a team I'm keeping my eye on as well as they get healthier, if they can make a little big push at the second half of the season.
Yeah, right now they're the sixth seed in the West.
Yep.
Missing a couple guys here and there. Jamal Murray's still out. You got Michael Porter Jr. As you say, he was out to sign a new deal. But once that's a big three that could be really interesting. Come down the stretch once everybody comes back. They could give somebody some issues. I think if right now the playoffs ended, they will play the Grizzlies. So if they stay.
That'd be an interesting matchup right there. To see talk about a matchup, Jaren Jackson Jr. going up against the Joker, and then you would also have John Morant going up against Jamal Murray. Of course, Jamal coming off the ACL injury, but still, it'd be a great matchup.
Right. Yeah, it'd be a good matchup, man.
Let's kind of move over to the East. We'll be on West heavy. Let's go over to the East Conference of the NBA and talk a little bit about that. Of course, like I mentioned, Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan, shutting up a lot of people. The New York Knicks are the New York Knicks. They win a game and their fans act like they won the championship. Of course, my squad, man. Washington Wizards, hot start. And then after that, we just been kind of up and down, hot and cold. We got robbed yesterday. And then Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. That Ben, how sick are you of the Ben Simmons situation? Just the rumors of coulda, shoulda, woulda. I want just to get settled and be over with.
Man, I thought he would have been gone by now. I thought he would have been gone before the season kicked off, but he's still there. They still messing with the dude. They want a good suitor to make that trade happen. Somebody's gonna take that contract, I'm assuming. They need to cut the base with that, man. Cut the books with Ben Simmons, man, and move on from him. I think if they keep him on to the season, for the rest of the season, they need to make a trade with Portland to get Dame Lillard.
Yeah, but I mean, I believe Dame. If he says he wants to stay in Portland and get it done in Portland, I don't see it happening.
That's why, man, he needs to go, man. Dame Lillard's time in Portland should be over with, man. I think he's maxed out over there. He's maxed out.
I feel like he's going the same route of KD, man, or KG. Kevin Garnett just kept on playing in Minnesota. We can do it. And if remember that one year with like Cassell, Sprewell, they make the Western Conference Finals. And I'm sure to him that was like, that's the start. Nah, that ain't the start, man. You wasting your talent. Get up out of there, bro.
Yeah, and then went to Boston, and it's just like we saw the tail end of it to his career. You know what I'm saying? We didn't saw that guy, the other guy.
And if you watch his Hall of Fame speech, he said they asked him what's one of the biggest regrets of your career. He said not coming to Boston sooner. He knows. Right. He knows. I mean, I respect Dame and wanting to stick with the team that brought you in. They had faith in you when nobody else did. He's that kind of dude. Respect, loyalty. I get it. But if you go to one of these teams like Philadelphia or even New York somehow, that's a whole different ball game as far as the amount of talent they're going to bring in to help you.
Right. It's just Portland is just nobody wants to come up there and play, man. To me, it's a hard time bringing freaks up there. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man.
Yeah, you tried. You made the Western Conference Finals that one year. It wasn't meant to be. They can't say you're not putting in maximum effort. I think I think that he just wants to make sure if he does get moved, it doesn't hurt his PR as far as like he forced a trade. He demanded this. I think if Portland had a good package and said, hey, we're going to take you, this team is offering this to us in exchange for you, and he agreed with it and thought it was a good fit for him, he'd probably say yes and go. Whether that be Philadelphia, whether that be New York.
Yeah, he'd be down with it. It was a good deal, good for him, good for the franchise. You take it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, like we both said, you just wasting away up there, man. You're having great seasons, putting up fantastic numbers. Sometimes you get out the first round, you get to the second round, you're getting bounced. I mean, and they're not doing anything to improve the squad around you. CJ McCollum is a great player, but you need more than that to make it in the West.
Yeah, man, you can't just be those two, man. You gotta need a third. You need a third guy. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, for sure. What are some other storylines or players or teams in the Eastern Conference that you've been tapping in on?
Well, every now and then I've been looking at Chicago, man, and what they're doing with DeMar DeRozan, man. He's like a top 5, top 10 scorer right now.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that, man, from DeMar DeRozan, man. But he's showing up, man. And right now the guys I heard, Zach LaVine is out, Ball is out.
Huge loss of Ball, I think.
Yeah, but it's good to see the Bulls back in contention, back to being, talked about. But that's the team I've been looking at, man. Watching Chicago Bulls, especially DeMar DeRozan, man, the way he's playing.
Yeah, DeMar is definitely having an MVP caliber season. That's a conversation too, man. MVP is like 1 week is Steph Curry, 1 week is Joel Embiid, 1 week is DeMar DeRozan. People talk about Chris Paul. That's good for the league, though, man. Having these kind of conversations, and then no one talks about the Joker. Like I watched him yesterday, last night's game, and that was probably my third time watching him this season. And yeah, he might not have the prettiest looking game, but dude's a baller. He gets the job done. You got to respect it.
Yeah, man. Another thing, Cleveland's been pretty good as well, man.
Yeah, they have.
I didn't think they were going to come up like that, but they have. And
I don't think Cleveland thought I don't think the Cavs thought they were going to come up like
that. Man, we're just seeing them in that position without a LeBron James over there or Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love. It's just surprising to me, man. It's just I would say strange to see that team where it's at right now. It's
and Kevin Love's still on the team. I forgot. He said he's having a good time, man. I saw a quote the other day though that one of their players said they're trying to build their own legacy, a legacy without LeBron, and he wasn't meaning as a slight. It's just time to turn the page. That's a long time ago. LeBron was in that squad. I can respect that.
Yeah, man. It shows you that it's possible that you can survive. You know what I'm saying? Once these guys leave,
Yeah, definitely super important, man. Well, hey, Derrick, thanks so much for hopping on Just Do with Joe, chopping it up with me, talking a little bit about your journey and starting up your company. Now, I never let anybody come on my show without getting on the floor. So what I'm going to do is at this time, the floor is yours. Let everybody know where they can find your site, find your work. So that it's on you.
Or you can follow me at Strike 7 Sports on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You just type it into the search bar. It's Strike 7 Sports. It'll pop up. You follow us, listen to our podcast on Apple, Spotify. What's the other one? Apple, Spotify, Anchor. Wherever you listen to your podcast at, you'll check out the Strike 7 Sports podcast. We just recorded another episode this Tuesday. We have this week we'll be doing NFL previews on the site, more in particular the 49ers and Packers, Bills and Chiefs will be previewed and predicted as well. And also, man, we'll be doing a NFL 30 under 30 top quarterback list that will be coming out soon. So yeah.
Okay, a little sneak peek. Nah, I appreciate that, man. I'll be peeping that out for sure. I like lists. I like a list create debates, and I'm all about debates. Yeah. As long as it don't turn into a Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, or Stephen A. Smith screaming at each other back and forth on TV for 30 minutes type of debate. I like a civil debate, a couple of tweets here and there, but the yelling and screaming ain't for me. So I'll definitely be peeping that, man, for sure. But like I said, really appreciate you coming on the show, man, and we'll definitely talk and catch up down the road.
All right, man. Good having me on. Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you. Stay safe.
All right. Later, bro. All right.
And that was Derrick Branch, owner, operator of Strike 7 Sports. Once again, I want to thank Derrick so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I also want to make sure I shout out Rich Kid Clothing, official YouTube sponsor of the 19 Media Group. And I want to give a special shout out to all the people who are part of the 19 Media Group. We definitely run these content streets, and it's much, much more than sports. If you go onto the website, 19mediagroup.com, you will find a podcast for any kind of genre and niche you can think of. Definitely make sure you check us out. And I also want to make a shout out to MyBookie, another one of our sponsors as well. As always, I am Joe Cardoza, and you've been watching Just Through with Joe. I will catch you guys next week. Stay safe.